10 minutes. That's it.
10-minute things that would change everything.
Striving is an act of hope.
Perfect.
I like it.
Okay. I'm going to make this part of my daily routine, and you're more than welcome to join us. Hello and welcome to 10 Minutes Healthier. My name's Ian, and I'm here with my co-host Amanda.
Hello, everyone.
And last week, the challenge was to spend 10 minutes every day decluttering. So Amanda, what was your experience with decluttering for 10 minutes every day?
Okay, I started in the bedroom, like I had mentioned, and I have things from right after I got married, which was 20 years ago still. And so I knew I needed to get rid of a few things. And also my drawers are crazy. And so here's the funny thing is that Lauren, my husband, that's Lauren, not Warren, as a lot of people call him, he's okay with piles around the house and he puts things in piles, but his drawers and his closet are meticulous. Like
really?
Yeah.
I would not have expected that.
I know. He folds really neatly and puts everything away neatly, and I throw everything in, but I don't like piles around the house. And so I kind of thought, oh dear, I think maybe one of the things that this revealed to me is that I am a little concerned about how things look on the outside. So that was like a weird thing to come out of this.
Yeah.
And then I went into the kitchen, and the first thing I went through is this drawer full of cords, which I talked about on our Facebook group. I was like, why do I have so many cords for electronics that I apparently don't own anymore because I can't find anything that they work in.
Yep.
And so I got rid of a bunch of those things, and in the drawer of cords, I've also found old camcorders. And so I couldn't find the cord to go with the camcorder, but I started looking, and I will continue to look because I know there's really special things on those camcorders. And one was like an adoption video that we had to make when we adopted our third daughter, Ava. And I know there's hilarious outtakes on that video because we had to make this weird video about who we are as a family, and it was hilarious to do it. So I'm like, I got to find that cord so I can watch that video. So that was a little bit fun as well. So maybe it's sometimes worth it to have junk drawers because then you go through it and are like, this is so fun.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I think, you're right. I ran across a couple things that just remind you of things or whatever. But I think emotions are like strongly connected to the things you keep, and even weird stuff. Like I was going through a bunch of my clothes, and I noticed like I have shirts that are like worn out, but they're connected to a memory for me. So it's like the Young Life camp shirt. And I remember hilarious things that happened on those trips or like people and stuff. And I'm like, I can't throw that away. But then the other thing I noticed was like I was cleaning out one of those cabinets that just is a catch-all, know, and I found this thing that's full of keys, right? And so the thinking is like, well, don't throw away a key. It might go to something, right? Well, it's like you are afraid that if you throw it away, like, oh, you're going to find the thing that the key goes to, even though you operate on your day-to-day life and you don't need those keys.
Yeah, and to your point, I think fear does have a lot to do with why we keep so much clutter because we think I might need it. And so, yeah, it's good to think about those things as well.
Oh, the other thing, like in our Facebook group, people were talking about throwing away kids' projects and stuff like that. And you're like, you just feel like the worst person because you have this emotional connection to something that your kid made and you don't want them to be hurt. And it's like, we have 4 kids. So if we kept every single project that ever came home, it would just overwhelm us. So you got to be a little bit, stealth, but make those hard decisions, I think. So. Yeah. Did you have anything more on decluttering?
So the only other thing I was going to say is that I tried to get my family and my kids into the action, and they mostly stared blankly at me when I said, "Do you want me to help you declutter?" And they were like, "No, Mom, thanks.
Not at all.
No, thanks." Yeah. So I thought that was just funny. I was motivated, but they were not.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Like, so I decluttered the top of my refrigerator, and I think I'm the only one that cares about the top of the fridge because I'm the only one that can see it. And the most frustrating thing about that whole experience was I'm like, okay, I got rid of all that stuff. And literally the next day, there was something on top of the refrigerator, you know? So it's like something that you have to make a point of doing often, or it's just going to creep back in. But that is one other thing. This is the last thing I'll mention about decluttering, is that 10 minutes is actually a pretty long time if you have like a really focused effort on like a drawer or a cabinet or whatever. It doesn't take that long to just get rid of stuff. It's just that we don't do it on a daily basis, so it builds up.
Yep. Totally. Yep.
Cool.
So the next challenge is to work on a movement that you are weak at. Am I saying that correctly?
So 10 minutes of working on a weakness. And this is like a physical movement, not like, oh, I'm bad at
returning phone calls.
Yes.
Or something like that. Right.
Right. Yeah, totally. So 10 minutes of working on a physical movement that is not your best movement.
Yes.
So do you have any idea what you're going to work on?
So I think physically, the things that are harder for me are upper body strength movements. So I thought I might work on push-ups and potentially handstands as well, getting in and out of handstand. I can hold a handstand, but getting into it is hard. And so maybe kind of alternating those. But I'm kind of worried about only doing arm stuff. So I might have to throw something like lower body in there as well.
Yeah. So, and you bring up a good point. There are certain things that you probably just shouldn't do day after day after day. So it doesn't have to be the same weakness that you're working or same movement that you're working on all the way through the week, but kind of bounce around if you feel like it's not healthy for you. So just be careful with yourself and ask trainers to give you advice and drills and things like that, so you don't just like do the same thing and hurt yourself or something.
Yeah. What are you going to do?
So for me, I'm dealing with like a neck issue that's going to keep me from doing handstand push-ups. So I'm not going to work on those, even though they're by far my worst weakness. So I'm working on a weakness that comes from a place of just like, just deep jealousy and self-loathing. So I think that's really a healthy thing. No, I'm kidding. So here's the deal. I own a jump rope company, right? And a ton of our customers are sending in videos of them doing triple unders. And triple unders. And I am not good at triple unders, mostly because I just don't have occasion to work on them.
Right.
They're never programmed in CrossFit workouts. And so you just don't do them. And so I'm going to work on those. But I was going to ask you, why do you think it's good for us mentally to work on a new challenge or,
Yeah, I think my gut answer to that is that it's good to acknowledge that we're not always the best at everything. There's something good and healthy about saying, oh, I can still be growing and be working towards something, instead of what a lot of times we tend to do is only do the things that we're good at. And so even in workouts and fitness things, I think sometimes people tend to cherry pick or go to workouts that they know they'll be good at instead of spending the time to do those things that you are really not going to be good at.
See, yeah, I like that. Like having the humility to not be great at something. That's really good. I didn't really think about that. But I was thinking I think striving for something is like an act of hope, right? Like you're kind of saying out loud with your body, like, I believe that things can get better. I can, I think that's the reason why exercise just in general fights a lot of sadness, right? Like you can't feel sorry for yourself and also be hopeful enough that you're doing this thing that's going to make you stronger or in better shape or whatever at the same time. They can't exist at the same time in you. And so it's like this break from something that you're struggling with or whatever, and to exercise. I
like that a lot. What did you say again? Striving. Can you say it again?
Like striving is an act of hope.
I'm going to put that on a t-shirt, Ian.
Yeah. You should say it though, because I always do a quote at the beginning of the podcast.
Okay.
But it just becomes too much me if I say the whole intro. So you need to say it.
Striving is an act of hope.
Perfect.
I like it.
Okay. Cool. So that's the challenge. Anything else you want to add before we call it a day here?
The only thing I would add is I'm a little nervous of doing something for 10 minutes because I did push-ups in a workout the other day for 1 minute and I thought I was going to die.
Yeah, right.
So I know that I don't have to do it straight for 10 minutes, but it's a long time.
Yeah,
it's kind of a long time to do one movement.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I think, you take breaks or you experiment with other things that you can do that maybe work same muscle groups and stuff. But yeah, I believe in you, Amanda.
Thank you.
You're going to have better push-ups by the end of the week.
I really am.
And
I'm excited.
I will change the name of my company to Triple Under Wonder because I'm going to just crush triple unders. It's going to be really embarrassing if I can't get one.
That's awesome.
All right.
Bye. Ava, do you want to do some decluttering in your room?
What does decluttering mean?
Like getting rid of stuff?
I have too much stuff that I love.